Hey, Xcapaders! Welcome to the Xcapade to Xpansion podcast, where we hope to help challenge the mind, heal the body, and elevate the spirit on your journey of self-discovery. Are you ready to expand?
Welcome back, Xcapaders, to another episode. Today's episode is sponsored by Matters of the Mind Voltage, a collective and alternative mental health community that guides you back to your soul through integrative therapeutic methods. Today is part 2 of Relationship DOA, Social Media Effects. My name is Tisa, and I am your emotional wellness guide. I am joined by our 3 co-hosts. Ladies, you want to introduce yourselves?
Jessica Devine, your physical and mental wellness guide.
My name is Jean Voana. I am your actualization guide.
And my name is Angela. I am your spiritual and wellness guide.
So, ladies, the hot topic of today is going to be something that we see on the Shade Room, TSR, as we all know. So, it was a text conversation between a fiance and what do you call fiancés, right?
They were engaged.
And
Fiancé and the fiancé.
Something like that. So the young lady, she wants to go see Beyonce. As we know, Beyonce doesn't tour often, right? Mm-hmm. So she'll be coming, and I think the tickets are starting at $600.
Yep.
So the young man, he was like, "Look, we're saving for our dream home. Mm-hmm. You asked for an engagement. I did that for you, and you said you wanted a home, so I did that for you. What more do you want? Right. We're not doing the tickets. We're supposed to be saving for this home. So it's a flat out no for me." So it seems like the engagement was actually called off. Due to this issue.
Yeah, she was like, "Give me my money back."
Yes.
So we come with the saving for the dream home versus the Beyonce tickets. So as we talk about relationships dead on arrival, we're going to talk about social media effects and how do standards and expectations vary according to our access to social media now.
Oh, that was a pretty interesting conversation. Yeah. I mean, what do y'all think about that? I think the part that you forgot to kind of recap just a tad was the sisters. I'm gonna say queen, right? Because I still refer to them as queens, right? The queen, right? The thing was, there was a discrepancy, right? And she felt like it was more important to attend a Beyonce concert versus save money for the dream home that they agreed upon. That was the part for me that was like, sis, can we talk about there were other things that she could have done, like been saving on the side or maybe got an additional hustle, but to start calling out, well, I contributed this amount and this is my portion and give it back to me then. So I think the guy should really be praising God himself, thanking his lucky stars. Right?
Well, so and on speaking on how much she contributed, she only contributed what, like $700?
She said I contributed $1,000. He was like, no. To be exact, it was $769 or whatever it was, which showed, he said, I did the rest. I've given you everything that you've asked for. This thing is going to have to be a no for me. And I feel like he attempted to throughout the text message. He was very, even soft with her about it. And hey, please refocus. This is what we agreed to do. And sis was like, nah, give me my coins back.
And so he matched her tone. Engagement.
I know. So I have a different opinion than I think you 3 ladies. I think it was a blessing for both of them because they seen that both of their values are drastically different. I feel like when we deal with money, it's almost like love languages where we each have a way that we deal with money. And when we're seeking a relationship, we have to be compatible on our values with money. Obviously, she valued that Beyonce ticket. She didn't value Ubering or doing something else to get that money. She wanted to pull out of a savings. So therefore, we see that he's more of the saving type, discipline, and she's more of, I just want to splurge. So my thing is, maybe you're just not compatible financially. And we know finances usually lead to divorce. So my thing is, if you can see that while you're dating, that you're not on the same, skill level or the same, you don't have the same money value.
Right.
Then I think it's best to break it off.
Absolutely.
I would love to know, because they were engaged, right? They were at the point of engagement and they were saving for a house. We'll never know this, but I would love to know the condition of their finances prior to them entering into a relationship. Where there are already signs that to her it was more important to do certain things above, I don't know, buying an outfit or going out or whatever the case may be. Were there signs that were present before he even decided to propose to her? I think what bothered me most though was her lack of being willing to listen and just pause. Right? It was very, to me, she was very childlike in the way she was responding to him, while he was, being soft and trying to explain and remind her of their priorities. It was like there was no getting through to her. I want Beyonce tickets.
I mean, she's an adult woman. I don't believe in telling each other no as adults. Like, we can talk about it, we can try to come to a compromise, but to tell me flat out no when I'm an adult, I just know I'm not a child. So I just feel like it should have been, okay, well, let's find another way that we can get what you want without pulling out from our savings. But I felt like he was so set on any money that we have goes towards this saving. It ain't no room for anything extra. And to me, depending on what type of person you are, I'm the type of person, I'm going to have both.
Right.
I feel like for me, it would be living in lack if I have to say, well, because I'm trying to do this, I can't do this. Like me, I'm the type of person, I can always get exactly what I want.
Right.
And I'll always find a way. I don't have to pull from the savings. Let me go Uber. Let me go do some DoorDash.
Exactly.
Let me come up with some type of solution where we all can win. So
I believe there was, and I'll definitely let you go. I believe there was an undertone of this is her behavior. It wasn't like this is a one-off thing, though. And kind of to your point, it seems like, hey, we get in this groove, we have this agreement, then you always come up with something that you desire. And that was his kind of response, like, look, I gave you this engagement, I gave you these other things that you desire. When are we ever going to really focus on, our ultimate goal? He even called out how many months they've been saving for the house.
Yeah.
So there were some undertones of like, this wasn't just this wasn't just happen.
It didn't just manifest. I do believe that there were some ongoing, probably financial issues that they were already dealing with, even in regards to his comment that we agreed upon this. So if we're talking about standards and expectations of our relationship, then financial expectations have to be considered, even when we're talking about telling somebody no. Where's the accountability to each other when we're talking about this, right?
True.
And so the standards and expectations that we're talking about in social media, right? And even in relationships, does it come down to your values of those expectations? Because those expectations was, we agreed to this.
Right.
Yeah. We expected. There was an agreement. And so
Yeah.
when you break the agreement, right, what does that mean? That does mean that we're not compatible. We may not be compatible in this era or in this area of our relationship.
True. True.
With that being said, that's a perfect segue into the question of today's topic. I mean, how do you all feel that social media or the internet affects the standards and the expectations that people really set in their relationships?
So I had a really good point I wanted to make on the last, but anyways, we gonna move forward.
I'm sure it's gonna come up.
And we gonna move forward. I think a lot of people are delusional. I'm gonna look at the camera for this one. I think a lot of people are delusional. Social media has given us access to people, places, and things that we didn't have access to in previous decades, and now it's not necessarily a bad thing that now we feel like we're able to get whatever, whenever we want it. And it's like, it's not, I'm saying stay in your lane. And if you want to get out of your lane, honey, upgrade yourself to meet those expectations that you're demanding. If we listen to different podcasts and everything, all these women, everybody wants 6 figures, 6 feet, 6 inches or more. And it's like, you're 4'11". Why do you need a man that is 6 feet?
Yeah.
You
So
know.
she can hop up on that thing.
No, baby.
So pick me up.
The 5'4" man will do for you, honey. And y'all can have a little family and whatnot, you know. And then even with men, every man thinks he's entitled to the Instagram baddie. Every man thinks that he needs to be loved for his personality instead of his coins. It's a lot of delusion out there, and it's not people being realistic with their expectations, who they're attracting, and who is really a good match for them. It's almost like people are just copy and pasting what they hear other people say.
Yes, it's very robotic.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Have you guys watched the Netflix special? It's called Social Dilemma.
Oh yeah.
It was, I believe it came out in 2020 during the pandemic. And these are ex-employees of Instagram, of Facebook, of Apple. These are ex-employees bringing an alert to all individuals about the robotic nature of the algorithms, of how they are allowing everyone to, even within kind of like the space of the social dilemma where they're behind the scenes. You have these individuals that are behind the scenes, and they're watching these algorithms bit by bit, every second, to say that this person wants to. It's kind of like the likes, the favorites. What are we attracted to? And they give these alerts right at a certain time for this. Like, it is crazy where we are always a society that's going to be on. The actual goal is for society to be on when it comes to social media. And so when we're talking about standards and expectations, what you were talking about was very robotic, being very robotic in the way that we respond, the way that we are instantaneous, not being human, to actually engage with one another tangibly, but always being on. That Social Dilemma is something that if you have not seen it, you definitely should watch.
I was told by I had a conversation with a friend last year, a friend of mine who often takes social media fast, and he said to me, we were talking about the conversation about half-naked women being on social media all the time, and how women have contributed to, women say, I'm doing this for me. I have a right to be half naked on social media, whatever the case may be, but I want to be valued differently or looked at differently, not for what my body looks like. And he was saying that how we have been desensitized to certain what we see on social media, and then also how it's changed what men find, what men are attracted to. How women present themselves over an extended period of time on social media actually has a very real mental effect on how we're perceived and what men actually are attracted to.
Yeah.
And what?
Oh, well, I was going to say social media is kind of like when television came out. It's the modern day programming, and that's why they call it TV programs. And the point that you were making as far as like the male ideal of what a woman looks like, I think not only Hollywood, but also porn started that trend where they expected a woman to look a certain type of way.
Yes.
And now social media is just picking up that trend. So
I think we've adapted to it, right? I think we've more than adapted to it.
Yes.
Even before the porn, though, if you think of, a part of the porn industry was, underground, right?
Yeah.
But what really brought it out to the open, from my perspective, is videos. Music videos.
Music
videos was the first to say, the girl jumping in, shorts, midriffs, cleavage, everything, fitting clothes. It was the music industry. So I believe that was the kind of introduction to say, from this perspective, no, I'm not having sex. I'm not presenting myself in a sexual manner, but this is entertainment. This is art.
And this get the views.
Exactly.
I have a problem with? I have a problem with not to make it all about men, but we
sounded like
subject.
Sounded like Jeffrey.
Yes.
I mean, any for anybody with that matter, we say that we want a certain thing when we're looking for somebody, but yet what we're feeding into our spirits and in our eyesights all the time is the complete opposite.
It's
Especially with social media.
Yes.
Especially with social media.
I can't tell you if I'm sitting next to you and I happen to see that on your Explorer page or all the people that you follow is nothing but naked asses, right? Or men with the, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, you're telling me that you want a certain thing in a woman or a man.
Yeah.
Like, honey, you conflicted. You need to do some work because
Sounds good.
Right.
And even with that, the podcast, these negative podcasts that talk negative about men and women, it's like if you're constantly feeding yourself that, you're attracting that actually very type person that you despise so much because you put so much energy into thinking about them on a constant. So me, I've gotten into the habit, whenever I roll past something talking about we hate black men or we hate this or this child, we keep rolling. Because I refuse to allow that stuff constantly in my mind, in my, you know, the thoughts to penetrate. Because then I'll find myself attracting those very situations.
You are what you eat.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
You're right.
So what you mentally feed yourself while viewing this stuff, and I almost feel like, I don't want to feel like a conspiracy theorist, but I feel like this is the stuff that you're constantly seeing get attention, is this gender war. Where they're talking bad about women, they're talking bad about men, and it's like you're constantly seeing it. Right. And it's like, dislike. Don't show me this again.
Right. That's what Social Dilemma was all about. It was about the conspiracy theories. It's about give people what they want, not what they need. Right.
Divisiveness.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
That is interesting.
And even with that, thinking it back to our, hey Jeffrey, how are you doing? Thinking it back to that, it's like, give the people what they want. We talked about in the first episode, accountability. A lot of people don't want to be accountable. They want to feel like victims. So that's why all these podcasts talking about how terrible women are and how women need to fix it. And if women just did better, we would be better. Men are terrible. If they did better, we would be better. Right. That's why those are so popular, because they lack accountability. They tell you that, no, it's the other person that needs to do something better. And that'll make your life better. If these women just were submissive, if these men just paid all the bills and be quiet, we'll be okay. And it's like, it lacks accountability. And that's why it's so popular.
Yeah.
Because you can sit there and feel like, I'm great. It's not me, it's them.
So how is this truly affecting relationships, right? You said it's delusion, right? What else y'all got? What else? What you think? What you think?
Well, I think, go ahead.
Relationship, I believe it's affecting your identity, how you show up in your relationships, right? How are you able to kind of like differentiate what is real, what's fact, right? How can I speak to what's real for me and what's factual for anyone else? Because my fact and my reality is relative, right? It's relative.
I think it has given us a way, I don't know if I want to say a way out. Maybe that's not what I'm trying to say, but I'll give an example. When you're having relationship issues, let's say, for example, you have intimacy issues, and someone's not sexually satisfied. Instead of having a difficult conversation, it's so easy, right? To either find someone to cheat on with virtually or go to porn or something like that. Like the access we have to satisfy ourselves outside of our relationship without having to have difficult conversations in our relationships, it's way too easy.
Right.
I think we go there.
Daddy and them used to go around to the gas station to meet up with Barbara Ann instead of now you can just pick up your phone and it is readily available to you.
And social media has become a part of people's families, part of your relationships. So if you're trying to have a hard conversation, make sure that phone is off or make sure there's no access, because again, we are so quick to touch and pick up our phones. What is the standard of expectation when it comes to social media limitations? There's, social media for us, if you think about it, it's still something that you can control. But for some people, it's out of control.
It's addiction.
Right? Yeah.
It's addiction.
Wow. Yeah.
So I was thinking about that. Social media also gives people personalities, multiple personalities.
So you saying it gives them?
It gives them.
It gives them?
Right.
How some people
That's identity crisis to
how
me.
some people act
okay?
online is not how they act in person.
But
And
is social media the cause though?
Right.
Or is it just another avenue
It's a
to
tool.
where it, right?
It's a tool
to
they use.
exasperate something that's
It's a tool.
beneath.
It's a tool. Even when you said, you know,
already there.
It's already there,
look,
right.
It's men who will talk about, I want this type of woman. And then you pick up their social media, all they got is booty pics. Booty rocking everywhere.
Right,
You know, it's people, look, it's people that will talk tough online, but in your
reality,
face will not say anything.
and that's what I'm talking
And
about.
that's why a lot
It's
of
two
times
different
I
worlds.
ignore it. You know, or it's people that, praise the Lord. And in person, they just rude and nasty. It's like,
You sure it ain't that social media manager?
that is social media.
That
The devices.
You know, so it really, it gives people, it's like Beyonce and Sasha Fierce.
Yes.
It gives people that divide.
And I think, but to Angela's point, though, you know, they have that anyway. Because I even say for myself, prior to getting, and even now, right, I have my alter ego. I actually encourage people to kind of pull out their alter ego, right? Because especially the women that I end up coaching, some of them can be very timid, if you will. And I'm like, no, there's some, if you could tell me, or if you could create this alter ego, who would she be? What would be her name? How would she look? What would she do? Right?
Yeah.
And that's the inside that's dying to get out. So I do believe that they already have these pieces. It's just, again, social media gives them the ability to show up that way, and they feel powerful. They feel authentic.
Yes.
Even when men or women, I know we keep going back to the men. I promise y'all we ain't hating on y'all. But even when it comes to the man, if you look at some of their comments, like you said, some of them are talking so tough. They really wish that they could be like that 100% of the time, or even the majority of the time. So I believe that social media just gives them that outlet to be who they want to truly be.
Yeah. I believe all of us have different parts of self. And just like, you know, Queen Vaughn was talking about, I do that also in my sessions as well.
Yeah.
What personalities do you have that you want to be able to show a little bit more, that you want to be able to work? Duality of personality is something that's innate in everyone. I'm not going to act the same in every situation. There's, I mean, when we're talking about business, you know, it's a different personality, not a different, but there's a personality that needs to show up in business. There's a different personality when I need to show up as a sister, all of that stuff, right?
Yes, I do. So I do think we have complex parts of us. But I'm just saying, when what you're showing online is drastically different from who you are. And it might be you putting on a front. Like, for instance, we have a lot of people the wig has been ripped off, where they were trying to act like they was multimillionaires. Oh my God. Or they was flogging, and they really wasn't living that life.
That's a real thing.
You got a lot of these podcasting men that try to act like they're doing something really big. And they're not. So yes, while we're all diverse in how we come around, it gives a platform for a lot of fakes and phonies.
I agree.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people, that's not about that life. You know, people come in my comments talking that mad stuff, acting like I'm not from Florida. I'm not going to argue with you in the comments. Just see me in person.
Look at the camera for that one.
Don't let that
Y'all
fool you.
cannot see this. You got to go to our YouTube channel, and she made eye contact to let you know she was for real.
Right.
To your point, though, to that point, when I think about how it affects relationships, the thing that we do with glorifying what we see on TV, because a lot of people portray the best of the TV, social media, because a lot of people portray the glam, it's perfect, right? And we really base our expectations of what our relationship should look like off of that perfect picture that we see.
Absolutely.
And I think it causes us to discard a lot of things and not deal with, or continue the cycle of pretending, and even discard, their relationship doesn't look like that, so this is not a good Just don't.
Absolutely.
Because it don't need that picture.
And then you rip the wig off, and you find out they was beating on each other.
Right.
They in foreclosure.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot of stuff
somebody
going
was
on.
fighting somebody's mama. It's just all crazy stuff.
Yeah.
It's not. It's like it gives people this ability to act like they're something that they're not.
Truly not.
You
right.
know.
And not even that they're striving for it, right?
Right.
No.
It's not even that they're like, okay, I see them. Okay, let me see what they're doing. Oh, okay, I see that they're working on their business. You know, well, we're talking about relationships. So
Right.
I see that they're talking about in the comments that, hey, they have their ups and downs. Oh, this is the tool that they use to learn how to communicate effectively.
Yeah.
This is, they do weekly check-ins. You know, instead of, walking away with that and then implementing that in their relationships, like you said, they begin to put on that facade or feel like something is truly wrong with their relationship, when in all actuality, it's going to take effort and work just like these other people's relationship.
Right.
Yes.
You know?
And even for people who are not in relationships, for instance, Kevin Samuels and some of these other podcasters, they try to give you this standard expectation that they're not even holding up their own self.
That's good.
And now you have your viewers thinking, oh, well, they told me this, I can have this, and that, so that's what I'm going to go get. And it's like, honey, they wasn't even having that. They didn't even have that. I mean, they had a nice little appearance and a nice setup, podcast setup, but they're not even living the life that they're talking about.
So are we saying with our standards and expectations and the effect of social media that social media has a bigger effect than what we can handle?
I think for a lot of people.
I think it depends on the individual. I think it depends on who the person is.
There was this book that I actually had my family just read, and it has been on my reading list for quite some time. And we actually sat down, and again, my family, our children, ranges from the age of 9 to 23, and it's called Outwitted the Devil. If you all have never read that book, they have it on YouTube. It's an audio book. Napoleon Hill wrote it. And it really talks about the term, he used this term, drifters, a lot. And basically, it is your thinkers and your non-thinkers.
Yes.
And he describes the non-thinkers as drifters. He says, drifters, they have a whole lot of opinions, but none of their own.
Yes.
You see? And as you were talking about, as it pertains to setting the standards and the effects that social media has on it, one of the things that he pointed out in the book, and I was just making notes, y'all. It takes me a minute to get through books because I'm making notes. I'm seeing how I can apply it to my life. He says, people get together within a relationship without a definite of purpose. People are getting together with no true purpose. It's like, because they look good, because they got money. Oh, we'll make cute babies together. But what is your true purpose as a couple? And I'm happy and grateful that when we went through counseling, and it hit me even then, but even when I went through that book again and just thinking about, how much my king and we continue to grow together and learn each other. Our pastor said, what do you all want to be known for as a couple?
Ooh, that's powerful. I love that.
It goes back to that identity.
This was pre-counseling,
premarital
counseling. He said, what? So he talked about our individual, identities. He said, now, I already know y'all are amazing individually. He was like, you tell me about your wife. You tell me about your husband. Now talk about yourselves. Now, who are y'all going to be together? And that whole definite of purpose, if we start identifying our purpose of connecting, and we even did it coming together, and we sat down and I said, y'all, here's the overall vision, but what does this look like to us together? And because we have a purpose, and if you do that in your relationships, it'll help you get through those very trying and hard and difficult times. It'll help you close your eyes to social media and not, lust after other relationships and what social media says because y'all's purpose together.
And you're setting your own standards.
Right.
You're setting your own standards.
Purpose leads to identity. Purpose leads to identity.
Yes.
How do you want to identify?
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah, so
I love that.
It's a 3 hour, and our kids had so much takeaway from it. So I'm telling you, it is an amazing, and it's if you listen to the audiobook, he literally does an interview with the devil. Because a lot of us blame a lot of things on it's the devil. Yeah. He's like, nah, this is how I show up. Come on. Yeah. So he started talking about fears, ill health, death, poverty. No, this is what people call the devil, but these are the works that I perform, and people blame it on me. You know, so it's so powerful. It is. It's amazing.
Powerful.
It's life changing.
That sounds powerful.
So
yes.
So even when you spoke about purpose and identity, it's like once you know those two things, you're not easily tossed to and fro.
That's it.
So in the sea of opinions, because everybody got one. Yep. They're like buttholes. Everyone has one. And most people can't even explain why they have those opinions. They just have them. Yeah. So it's like when you're set in your purpose and your identity and you're intentional about life and your relationships, you can't be tossed to and fro about all these opinions going around you because your feet are planted on solid ground.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you're constantly revisiting them. Yes. Right? Because even as we evolve, right? We use the term evolution as it pertains to relationships and where we're going at in the next stages of our lives. Each time you go back and revisit, that may slightly change, and that is okay. Yes. But in a relationship, when you're evolving and your partner isn't, or if your goal is now different and your partner is still the same, that's where that division comes in. Yes. So even with that discussion that we were talking about earlier, they were in agreement at one point. Yeah. She obviously bought into the vision. She understood what their overall goal was, but his eyes was still on the prize, and her affected by social media, affected by the internet, affected by want to be a part of the beehive. You know,
I was going to say that when you have identity and you have set a vision, it's not that people that do that don't exist in the same world. We exist in the same world as everybody else. We just know how to set boundaries, right? Mm-hmm. And we're intentional about what we let in, what we pay attention to, right? Like going back to the blinders, sometimes it's absolute, we call them boundaries, right? But I'm going to call them my blinders. I'm going to put my blinders on to certain things that I don't want to allow in my spirit. Yes. And my psyche, in my heart, and my mind, because I know this is my vision and this is my goal, right? I think that's so important.
Yeah. Can I go back to something that you said, and as a married woman, right? You said, which was, I think is very interesting. You said, as an adult, I don't feel like I should be told no, right? And I absolutely respect that. And I'll give it from my perspective. I need to be told no sometimes. I need that accountability. I understand that sometimes, and especially in my marriage or even other relationships, that you may, I'll even go as far to say know better than I do. I don't know everything, right? You may be able to help guide me along the path and keep me accountable. Like, I feel like saying no in relationships, I believe it can be healthy, especially if we were in agreement about it. I don't want a temporary moment or decision or being impulsive to really, not give me the greater good, which I want to seek, right? Yeah. Because there's those moments of, I don't really want to call it vulnerability, but you just kind of lose sight, right? Yeah. So, and I would even want my friends, like, I give you all permission to say, Vaughn, no, like, sis, no, right. Remember, and I want people to feel good. I mean, confident in their decision. Even if I have a little attitude, my husband, he tells me no, right? And he knows the times that I do ask, he'll say, okay, this is how I feel. How do you want to now proceed? Some things like, and I'll give you a quick example. I think over the summer, so full transparency, y'all, we have invested. So this was a season of planning for the past 2 years. We've been making huge investments in businesses, in investment portfolios, properties. Like, it's just money just basically flying out the window, right? But I needed to get out the damn house. And I wanted to go, and we had agreed, you know, hey, let's keep it to a minimum, the going out. And we have some amazing friends, y'all. I promise y'all. They be like, y'all coming out, and they'll take care of everything, right? They'll just be like, nah, it's on. We just want to be in y'all presence, right? Which is pretty cool. But this one time in particular, I was like, okay, they just sent this in the group chat. And we hadn't gone nowhere. Again, understanding the vision, understanding that we needed to recuperate and things like that. And I had sent it to him, and I was like, so, right? And he was like, well, you know, we talked it out back and forth. And I said, I really need to get out. I'm a I'm a dancer. I love music and dancing. And it was an all-white party. And he was like, okay, babe. He said, let's go, right? So there are those moments where I will definitely, you know, accept the no. And I'll be like, you know what? You're right. You know, let's keep focused. You know.
So with that, I don't think it's like, I like how you explained it. We communicate. We talk about it. They say, well, no, this ain't gonna work, but let's look over here. Me, I don't believe in receiving just a definite no. No, you're not going to the Beyonce concert. It's like, no, you're not going to the Beyonce concert using this money that we saved. But we'll see if we can find something else for you. Okay. So that's how I believe it. But as far as telling an adult, no, you're not doing it, to me, and it'd be a definite no. It's to me, it's a little controlling.
It's just got it right. You know, those men who say, I mean, you know, under the conversation of like women submit yourselves to your husband, and men are the head of the household, and those men, there are a group of men who believe that means
if I say
I
no,
make the decision by myself, and that decision is fine.
I'm all about communication. I'm all about compromising. Especially on something. So to me, even saving for your dream home and beyond, to me, those are small things in this big world. You know? So why can't we come to a compromise that we both can be satisfied of? Baby, this is how I would look at it. If it was my man and he wanted to go to Super Bowl, baby, okay, how about you work some Uber and I'll work some Uber too. And I'll match you on how much of you make. And now we both can be happy. Now we didn't pull out our savings and we're both good. But no, baby, I'm a grown woman.
Right.
And on top of that, I trust myself enough to make good decisions. I'm not going to go back on the agreement, but I am going to find another route to get what I want. You know, and maybe that's that willpower and that hustle that I have in me, but I always get what I want. I just always do. And I'm blessed to say that.
Well, Xcapaders, this has been another Xcapade to remember. We are going to wrap this up. And so before we wrap it up, though, we want to give some takeaways for today. Jessica, give us a takeaway.
So my takeaway with social media influencing relationships is just be realistic. Be realistic. What really works for you? What is needed for you? Are your standards and expectations, not only are you meeting them, but is it truly what you need? And with that, look at the identity and the purpose and match your expectations and your standards up to that.
Yeah, I like the identity piece. Having an identity, figuring it out. If you don't know it, do some self-reflection. Get curious about yourself. And really have a sense of identity and develop that sense of identity outside of external voices, especially social media. And when you figure out what that identity is, you protect your spirit, that identity, right, with what you allow in and who you present yourself to be.
I love it. I would actually say really understand the purpose and even the meaning and the words behind social media, right? The whole purpose, even around the term media itself, you know that it is there to keep you tracked. It is there to get you involved in your soul and your buy-in, right? Which means media is not going to always feed you what you really need.
Yes.
So keep those things in mind when it comes to your relationships and the effects and the standards that you allow outside people, those external factors, to influence you and your boo. Y'all better go in somewhere. Y'all ain't messing up this thing, right?
That's it. For me, it's social media, knowing your purpose and your identity and allowing all of those to align, right? If you're going to be ratchet and stay consistent with that. It's just not my channel, right? That won't be my channel all the time. But if it's social media and you posting with a purpose for business or for, your niche of, single moms or whatever it is that you want to do, post with a purpose, and allow those expectations and those standards to match with your social media identity that you want that to be. So it's about alignment for me.
Okay.
Takeaway. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it up, and I want y'all to stay tuned for our next Xcapade to Expansion for the month of March, where we are going to be escapading into the feminine era.
What is History Month? I love it.
Stay tuned.
All right, y'all.
Peace.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Xcapade to Expansion podcast. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe.